Hello YouTubers, and finally I am doing it after years and years of putting it off. I'm finally starting it. So, hello YouTubers, and welcome to my review of the Product Enterprise 12-inch RC Daleks Part 1. I'm going to separate this into parts because there are just so many Daleks to cover that I'm going to be doing it in sort of try and do it in release order, since at least for the television ones, I have all the television ones. So yeah, let's start off. So this was the first wave of RC Daleks. So we have the never seen on TV red with black hemispheres and silver mesh, which was never seen on TV. And I think the only reason it probably got made is because the Target novelization of I believe it was Dalek's Master Plan actually had this Dalek on the front cover, thinking that the Supreme Dalek was red instead of black. And then we have the black Supreme Dalek from Remembrance of the Daleks, and we've got a general 60s Dalek, which is evil of the Daleks. You could get away with because of the eye, because there are some telesnaps showing that yes, there were a few Daleks, at least in that story, that did have the pupil in the eye, so yay for that. And you know, having all three there, but there's a few interesting things about these Daleks, and I'll get to them in a minute. But before we do that, let's have a look at both different types of packaging. Yes, there are two different types of packaging you can get for these Daleks, and I'm going to go over them now. Alright, so this is the first type of packaging, the early packaging for these Daleks that was only used with these first three in the wave, until they were later re-released in the second type of packaging that was used from then on. But if you have a look at this packaging, it may look very similar to a certain packaging, and essentially what it is just a larger version of the 6.5-inch talking Daleks that were also produced by Product Enterprise, which is why that we have a little flap here at the top, which we never get with any other RC Daleks. So you can see here 7 authentic Dalek commands. Yeah, interestingly they call it commands rather than phrases. Power rotating head with flashing lights. They put flashing lights as another bullet point, so a bit weird. But they didn't with Daleks. Man, weird. Total radio control 4. Amazing Dalek action. Yeah, there's too many bullet points there. Don't know why. And you can see there you've got the BBC logo from the 2000s and late 90s and that. And it's still pretty much the same today. Radio Command Dalek, and we've got the 1970s Doctor Who logo from 1973 onwards, well, particularly with the Tom Baker years. And if we just take a look, we've got full radio control, and we've got this lovely Dalek artwork, and again Radio Command Dalek from the BBC series Product Enterprise logo, 8+, and got some nice little artwork in the background there, and on the side a Dalek being blown up, which was actually, this one was actually later taken for the other 12-inch ones in the range. So it's like bits and pieces of both packaging, and then on the back it does look a bit different. So we've got the same information there, and we've also got a bio on the Daleks, so if you'd like to read that. And at the bottom here we've got also available, except not available anymore. So you can see there we've got the Rollermatic Daleks, the Talking Cyberman, Talking Dalek, and this what would later be the Infrared Davros, so that won't come until much later on. And you've got a nice look of the overshoulder of a Dalek looking out onto presumably Skaro. And oh, we've got a lovely little notice. Feel free to pause and read that. And hey, for more Doctor Who collections, visit our website. Yeah, don't try that because I doubt there'll be anything on there now. So that is packaging type 1, but obviously all of them were re-released in newer packaging, so let's take a look at the newer packaging. Alright, so this was the newer type of packaging that would be used on the re-release of this wave, and also for all the RC Daleks from here on out. You can see that we've got a sticker at the top telling you what frequency the Dalek is, and at the top here it just says Classic Dalek Radio Command. Yeah, we've no longer got the flap at the top, and that, though, this did mean it was a bit easier for stacking them, say, on shelves or on display and that, since you don't have a massive flap at the top interfering with that. We've got the same sort of information again: 7 authentic Dalek commands, full radio control and flashing lights. Again, classic Dalek from the BBC series Doctor Who, with the same sort of artwork on the front, except this time with a purple motif rather than the sort of red and orangey motif of the previous. Same artwork on the side. This is very, very dusty. And on the back this time we've got different stuff, so you can see there some other Daleks in the range and that, and you can also see it has the same information there, and I'm assuming that's the same information on the Daleks. And wow, we've even got more information about operating instructions and battery instructions. So that's all there. If you're wondering what that sound is, that is my dog. He is just off camera. Are you okay, Bobby? Are you okay? We've also got, obviously, the Project Enterprise logo, and obviously newer merchandise here. Oh dear, what's the matter, Bobby? What's the matter? What the matter? What the matter? Okay. So yeah, we've got the 4th Doctor with K9, and then also the Clockwork Daleks, which were available at the time. I notice the red one is not advertised because the red one is very, very hard to get, and he can fetch a very high price on eBay, and I'll get more into that later. But just another thing to note, the thing that I like about Project Enterprise's RC Daleks is the fact that they come in these things that pop together like that, so you can reseal up the box and the packaging so that it doesn't wobble around and that, which is really nice, especially for putting them on display and that. So, and also when people are, you know, shipping them out and that, makes it very nice. Also, they did come with batteries. They came with the batteries for not just the Dalek but also the remote, but they were not installed in the Dalek. Hooray, hooray, hooray. So it meant that they won't corrode inside. Now, the Daleks, these Daleks themselves take 6 AA batteries and a 9-volt battery for the remote. And if you do get one and it's brand new and it does have the batteries in, don't use them. Basically, they will be dead, I can pretty much assure you. And even if they did have some tiny lease of life left, I still wouldn't recommend using them. So, let's start actually reviewing the Daleks themselves. Alright, so here they all are again, and pretty much all of the Project Enterprise RC Daleks are the same sculpt there. Well, they're all from the same moulding and that, just like the talking ones. And essentially, the sculpt of these is, a lot of it is just enlarged versions of the talking ones. But the proportions here are much better and really, really accurate. In fact, there's not a lot of flaws with these Daleks, unlike the original count option ones. You see my dog there wandering around in the background. So, let's start off with the silver one. It doesn't really matter which one I do start off with, because essentially they are just repaints of each other. So, we've got this really, really nice silver paint on it that really does reflect in the light very well, and is obviously the correct tone and that, and also reflectiveness of the actual paint that was used on those Daleks. Now, the eye stalk, again, I've mentioned that, the pupil thing, and yes, really that is inaccurate. I'm doing it far too many favours, but it is the correct length. It has the correct amount of discs, and they are painted in the correct blue. The dome lights are all the same in that really these should be egg cup ones, but since the 60s Daleks were the only Daleks to use the egg cup molds and that, then it makes sense that they use these for every other one. So these are more like the Mini Cooper lights and that, which do look really accurate and do correctly again have the ridges on the inside as opposed to the outside. On this Dalek, they should really be orange, but obviously, you know, that is not the case, and that's because, remember, these came out when Doctor Who was off air and had been off air for many years. So basically the only people who were buying this were hardcore Dalek enthusiasts. So they had to make some cost cutting measures where they could, and they did retail for £50 back in the day each, so that is quite a lot of money. Even, you know, today it is for something like this. You've got the neck bings in there, which are again misaligned and that. I can only assume that this was to do with the moulding of these Daleks, making it a bit easier to mould it that way rather than the other alignment, because the Dalek is essentially in two halves that are clipped together. But we do have the mesh in that, which looks excellent. Looks really, really nice detailing of the mesh. And again, here we have the slats, which were later changed on the last few releases. But here it's one rubberized belt that goes around the Dalek and clips at the front. And I think it gives off the impression really nicely. You've got the two little bolts here and the mesh connecting it together. And here there wasn't a circle on the silver Daleks, so what they've done is just painted it silver rather than just leaving it blank. So I think it looks okay. Then you've got the gun, which, unlike the 6.5-inch Daleks, is actually correct, and it looks pretty close to the actual guns. Now obviously you could say, oh, there's a bit wrong here, there's a bit wrong there, but overall I think it's really nice. The only problem with these guns is the plastic is very thin and very fine, and these can break off very easily, which is why the red Dalek over there has a bit of tape on him, because I had to glue one of these back on, and I just put some tape round it to hold it in place, which is why I'm happy, you know, that character, although the character options guns are generally bent, they are made of rubber, so that they don't break off like this. So it is like learning from mistakes. They're not removable either. The plunger is again made of plastic, but since it's a thicker plastic, I have less fear of it actually breaking. And we've got the sucker at the end, and we've also got it to make it look like it's telescopic as well, but obviously it isn't. In terms of sort of the waist section here, you can see the silver band on this one going all the way around. Oh, I'm knocking the other Daleks. And on the bottom here, we have the hemispheres, which are in the darker blue, which is why I'm assuming it's like evil / power of the Daleks. And I've left the base off deliberately so I can show you the batteries. There's 4 batteries here, and then there's 2 behind. And you've got speaker and the on and off. Now let's quickly go over the other 2. So the Supreme Dalek it's painted in the correct glossy black colour, and most of it is just in the glossy black colour. And it makes sense to go with the Remembrance on, because it's probably one of the most memorable Supreme Dalek designs from a really good story. Now they have painted the discs blue, which is inaccurate. They should be silver, not blue. But hey, I'll let it slide because they were probably just using the same ones. Some people say I'm far too kind to Product Enterprise. Yeah, probably I am. I'm going to admit I'm slightly biased towards them because they're just excellent. And they're the only classic series RC Daleks you can get. The gun and the plunger are exactly the same, and they've done a silver disc in the centre as well, which I can't remember. I think yes, it is correct though. In Remembrance of the Daleks, I believe it was a lot wider. In Remembrance of the Daleks, and also the Dalek bodies was slightly different. So that's an inaccuracy you can see. The belt section with the mesh is exactly the same in silver. In fact, most of them were silver throughout the run, and you've got the hemispheres, which are really, really shiny silver. You can see them reflecting off, and it is a different silver from the Silver Dalek. It is a different paint, so they're not just rehashing the same thing over and over again. Again, you've got the dome lights, and that, which on this one definitely should be orange, but it is still very nice nonetheless. And here we have the red one, which you can't really see is inaccurate or inaccurate because it was never seen on television. Now, if I just move my light is making it look orange, though I assure you it is red. In fact, I'm going to put the light on it nonetheless. It is a red colour. I believe this is the original release of it. So the packaging I showed you at the start, the first one, that's what this one was packaged in, and these two are the later releases. I believe the later release of this might have received a matte finish, although I couldn't tell you. Now obviously it's painting in this really nice red, and before you all ask, is this the same colour red as the Daleks Invasion of Earth Dalek? And the answer is no, not quite. It's probably slightly lighter. But I do really like the look of this Dalek. You've got black hemispheres this time around, and with the silver section round here, and that. And I think it does make a nice little contrast to it, and it does make the Dalek look very interesting. So you can't really say if this one is accurate or inaccurate, since it's a very unique looking one, and it is the hardest one to get. Now, turning to the features of these Daleks, I'll demonstrate with this one. So, switch it on the base, and if we just use the remote. So this is one of the remotes. There are two different ones, and I'll explain later, but it tells you quite clearly what the frequency is. And notice there's no button to make the Dalek talk. There's an actual button on the rotator here, where the dome reaches a certain point. It clicks that button, that makes it talk. So anyway, let's see this Dalek move about. This one moves a bit slower than some of the other ones. I think his motors are starting to go, but he does move around, and you can see it's basically the same as the character options one, which is probably where they got the idea from, where the dome moves around on a motorized dome, and also the controls. What's better about them than the character options ones is that there's no sticks to snap off on these ones. You can see he moves around. Can I get him to talk?
Exterminate the Doctor, the enemy of the Daleks! You cannot escape the power of the Daleks!
Okay, so you heard him talk just then. And the dome lights on every single one of these lights up red, which is interesting in that it's not white, it's red, the actual LEDs inside. And generally when the dome gets to this point, it will speak, and it's the same phrases that the micro-talking Daleks have, except a lot louder.
Exterminate the Doctor, the enemy of the Daleks!
And what I'm doing here is I'm just what I'm doing is just tapping the dome, because the dome is actually pressing against a button inside the actual dome. Extermination sound effect.
Advance and destroy. Dalek sensors indicate presence of Time Lord. Exterminate! 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 Under attack!
I don't know if I've gone through them all, because it's kind of random most of the time.
Escape the power of the Daleks! Exterminate the Doctor, the enemy of the Daleks!
Yeah, I think I've definitely gone through them all. So, if I just...
Sensors indicate presence of Time Lord.
I just turn him off. So all the phrases on all of them are the same. Now, there's something interesting, and it's to do with this little fella over here. Now, this guy, if you've seen one of my previous videos, I got him off eBay for, today, at the time of recording. He arrived. And he was £125. Now, that is actually a really good price for this Dalek. However, he came with these remotes, the sort of greeny blue ones. Now, this one I've taken apart to try and fix the remote, because I thought, because the seller said, the remote on this Dalek does not work. And I thought, well, that's no problem. It's it's a 27 hertz model, so I can just use one of these remotes. Wrong. Yeah, for some reason, Product Enterprise, when they re-released these Daleks and continued the line with adding new ones to it, they changed the actual chips inside of the remote, the actual computer chip inside, and inside the Dalek as well, which means that you can't use this remote with that Dalek, and you couldn't use this remote with those Daleks. Which is something I don't like, because, for example, the movie Daleks, the second Dalek movie, the Peter Cushing second Dalek movie, if those ones did not come with a remote, you can use these ones with it, or vice versa, because they use, although they have different exteriors and that, internally they are exactly the same. But this one is not. This one has different chips. Why did they change it? I have no idea. I could find no information about it. I assume, because when I did take both of the, I did take both remotes apart, different remotes, just to see, you know, what they looked like on the inside, and it was the one in these ones has an actual chip soldered to the board, whereas this one doesn't. It's all like a blob under a chip. So yeah, it is unfortunate. I do have a friend who has an engineering apprentice ongoing. He is an engineering apprentice. Okay. Who I'm hoping might be able to fix this. I've spent about 4 hours today trying to fix it, with no luck, because I've no idea what the problem is, because it looks perfectly fine from the inside, and that, you know, that if it was a loose wire or a loose chip and that, then fine, but I'm not sure because if a chip or one of the fuses or something, or capacitor inside is blown, then I'm shit out of luck. Hopefully I can get another remote for this Dalek, and that. The problem is that these types of remotes do not come around very often, unfortunately, and obviously you know, they normally come with the Dalek, and you're limited to these three generally. You know, these two, and when you do see these two on eBay, it's generally the later release. So yeah, getting him is pretty difficult. I mean, the Dalek himself, he probably does work because he talks.
You cannot escape the power of the Daleks.
He does seem to say his lines a bit slower. I don't know why that is. And it isn't the batteries, because I tried different batteries in him. But he does say his lines a bit slower.
Exterminate the Doctor, the enemy of the Daleks.
Yeah, a bit odd. He takes the exact same batteries as the others. Interestingly though, the battery compartment on the bottom, for one, it has a sticker on it, giving some information, but also the battery compartment is slightly different on these ones than it is this one. Visually it looks the same, but the battery compartment in this one is a bit too small for the batteries, really. It should be a bit slightly larger, which might be one of the other reasons why they modified it when they re-released all three of these. But anyway, that is it for this review. It's gone on far too long, but what do I think of these Daleks and that? Well, you need to ask. I absolutely love them. That, for one, they're a great collector's item, and they just look great as well. Whether it's in box or sitting on a shelf, it doesn't matter. They still look absolutely incredible. And it's just, it's something that if you wanted to collect some Doctor Who merchandise from yesteryear, because these are starting to become quite old and some of them becoming quite rare, particularly obviously this one, which is one of the rarest ones that you can get, and believe me, I've been tracking it down for ages, and the main reason why this review was held off for so long was because I wanted to get at least all the TV ones and that. But yeah, I definitely do highly recommend them. They do look excellent, and generally the features in that are pretty much the same that you get these days, although you can't control what the Dalek says or when it says it unless you do the tapping on the dome thing when the eye is in that position. Just crack down on getting them. Prices on these can really, really vary. I mean, the prices on them do seem to have gone up, whether that's because I keep recommending Product Enterprise to everyone. I don't know, I doubt it's me, to be honest, on that. But the price on them do seem to go up every single year. And obviously, the problem with these is obviously they break down. They do break down quite easily, so take care of them if you do get one. But anyway, that's it for this review. I don't know when I'll be doing part 2, but you'll obviously know when that comes out. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Anyway, let's see this Dalek move. About. Maybe. Oh dear. And now you see a classic why isn't it bloody working trope. So let me see if I can get this working. And it's a clear example of how these Daleks are very temperamental on how sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work, which is why it's difficult. But yeah, there we go, he's working. I just slammed the camera in and I think I've just scratched him. Maybe. No, he's fine.